Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Robocop 2, starring Peter Weller, Nancy Allen, Belinda Bauer, and Felton Perry, and directed by Irvin Kershner. Now, before I get into this movie, Irvin Kershner, the director of The Empire Strikes Back and Never Say Never Again, James Bond of that one was not his brightest moment, but Empire Strikes Back is probably the second best compared to the original Star Wars. I like that one better, but let's get into Robocop 2, shall we? A hijacker hijacks a car. As it turns out, it was a commercial, and that was a terrible fake out, unlike the last film. And it goes to the news, and we see an elderly lady getting robbed, to the thief getting robbed, and we see a bunch of places get robbed, like a gun store, and the police car gets destroyed, and Robocop, returned by Peter Weller, comes out of the police car and shoots the gun store's robber. And all this is an opening sequence was flat. Robocop busts some drug dealers, and Officer Ann Lewis, returned by Nancy Allen, comes in for backup, and they save a baby's life. Robocop discovers the location of his wife and kid, and I'm not having as good a time here as in the first film, and all that is just terribly written, and the execution is very flat. The wife comes in, and Robocop comes off like a prick because he tells her he doesn't know her, and says it very harshly, might I add. OCP tries to invent Robocop 2, which is a failure, and Juliet Fox, played by Belinda Bauer, who talks about the case of Alex Murphy and how he was kept alive. Meanwhile, Robocop and Lewis find out Officer Duffy is involved with the bad guys and their drugs. While in the arcade, Robocop makes a scene while Lewis encounters a kid who works for Kane, who's the bad guy of the movie. And these characters are not fun like they were last time, as they were playing a little rougher here than the last time. And Robocop goes to the warehouse where he was killed last time and finds Kane and his army go bust Robocop just like last time. Almost the same story, but different movie, in my opinion. Kane kills Duffy. With the scene was dreadful, as Miss Fax is working on a robot that's like Robocop, but let's call it Robo-Criminal at best to me. These scenes with the design of Robo-Criminal is beyond horrendous. Robocop goes crazy while Lewis arrests little kids, but is unsuccessful, and OCP is responsible for telling Robocop to do nice things instead of acting like a cop. And I was having a really hard time with these scenes as they're preposterous. Jesus. Robocop goes back to cop mode, and the cops go after Kane, but he gets the fuck away until Robocop is on the hood of his truck and trying to get rid of Robocop, until he gets a motorcycle, and stopping Kane was very stupid, to the point Miss Fax gets the Robo-Criminal thing with their new target, Kane, which doesn't make much sense at all, as she kills Kane for experiment reasons, and again, it makes no sense to me. Miss Fax orders Kane, aka Robo-Criminal, to kill Donald Johnson, played by Felton Perry, whom at the beginning has doubts about Robo-Criminal, and Robo-Criminal kills every single last one of the motherfuckers in the room, and Johnson escapes Robo-Criminal. Then Robocop comes in and finds the kid is shot and dead in Robocop's hand, and that scene bugged the living shit out of me, as they killed the kid, despite he was evil, sure, but he was just a fucking kid. And I'm already angered by this movie at this point, and I'm ready to check out. Robocop and Robo-Criminal shoot each other, and they fight to the death, and the elevator sequence with the special effects looking cheesy and shoddy. Honestly, it was just sloppy moving. It just looked so awful. Lewis squishes Robo-Criminal with a tank-looking truck, and Robocop gives Lewis the ultimate drug for Robocop, or to fight Robo-Criminal, and destroys its brain. Kane, as well as Robo-Criminal, is dead, and that climax was a big fat failure. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 1.9 out of 10. This is a dreadful movie with bad-looking special effects. The script makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. These characters are no fun that I don't want to be around them anymore. And this movie failed spectacularly as it was just a bunch of bullshit and nonsense. And I'm really fucking nervous about the next part, as it's a part 3, number 1, and the one that killed the franchise, number 2, and the fact that it's PG-13 is a third reason, but the remake is PG-13, but we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and I will be back next week with Robocop 3, and until next time, your move, creep.